All right, guys, good morning. It's Tuesday, July 21st, I think. It is not quite 11 o'clock in the morning, so I am looking at the elevator. So this is the elevator that fell on me. 36-foot skeleton elevator made by Milo Manufacturing. I think Prattsburg, New York. I'm not sure they're in business anymore. But this is what fell on me, and you can see the cable right there is broke. The cable goes around this bar right here. You can see where the cable's been sitting right there. It was around there, broke, and then it's on there with some clamps. I slid the clamps on and slid them up the cable so I didn't lose them. And I have the Bobcat on it, so I've used the Bobcat, actually using MaxControl, picked it up with the Bobcat. So what the cable does is it pulls from that bar down, pulls on this bar, which raises this bar up and slides on that track right there and raises the elevator up and down. When we've had trouble with it, you can only go so low or it will kind of collapse on itself. So we moved the bars on there, I think. I'm not sure whether they're in the original position or the new position. We tried to make it so, at one point we tried to make it so it went lower. I think we moved it back. I think we moved the bar back. But I think when I have to take this track off in order, that's the track, so the blue things there, so they had some nylon bushings on there, some white nylon bushings on there, and when we pulled it out of there, it was all, and I can only find one, the one that I could find was cracked, but I have some of this is 1.25 inch sap line, it fit right on there perfectly, so I cut that, put it on there. Well, I have a bunch of that. I mean, right there's a piece over there's enough to make how many of them, right? So that keeps this a round bar in there. That keeps the round bar in there from wearing flat, going up and down. So I think that's going to work. And then now I just have to figure out how to get the legs up on underneath the track here. And I think I'm going to move I think I'm going to have to take the track off in order to do it. And I think I'm going to move the track down one notch. So if you look up here, the track's on these square bars. And I think I'm going to go ahead and move it down one. I don't know. I can't remember why it looks like it was down here. I can't remember why we moved it. We moved it so it changed the height of the elevator so you could go lower. I'm trying to figure out, so basically I'm coming up with the idea. I just kind of want to make it permanently one height. And the idea is to take, these are hollow. The idea is to take and drill a hole through the track that you could put a pin, maybe even something like real hard, like like a rod you would use to make a concrete form. Those are really hardened steel. And you could slide it through, and then if you had some pins in there, you could it would stay in place. Because we don't move it too much. We don't put hay on the horse barn too much. The horse barn has to be higher than the beef barn. So I think we're just going to try to come up with a permanent height to keep it, and maybe I don't know, maybe drill a couple holes. But I mean, a foot on the track is quite a bit of height difference in the height of the elevator, So in the beef barn, the only problem is it's a bank barn, so when you back the elevator up, You got to be able to get under that door. So you can't have it too high to get under the door. So I think my goal is to get it so it goes under the door by, you know, about 3 feet or so, and just have that be the permanent height that we try to keep it at. So that's what we're kind of trying to figure out. Right now I need to figure out a way to get those. I got to take the tracks off, and I need to figure out a way to get the leg lifted up. I don't know how much this thing weighs, but I have a hard time picking that leg up by myself. So I'm gonna have to, I might end up setting it down and putting a ratchet strap around the leg and try to get the leg to, might set it down a little ways and take the track off. Not sure. I think I might take the tracks off, then set it down, then pick the legs up into where the track would be, and then put the track on, and then pick it up. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But I'm not sure where I was. I think I was under here, so it must have been right about underneath the leg. I'm pretty sure the leg is what hit me in the back. Fortunately, the leg, it hurt like heck, right? But the leg gave me enough room that if I would have been, up there, the track would have been right on me. I'm pretty sure I must have been about under the leg. So it kept the chain from running down my back, and I probably would have been dug up pretty bad by the time they shut it off. Somebody had to unplug it. So we'll check back in. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna cut the cable, and then I won't need the grinder anymore. Well, won't need it for a little bit. I'm gonna go get some sockets and ratchets and see if I can get this track off. I think I'm gonna lower it down and try to get the track up into its spot, and then I can raise it up and down with the Bobcat. It's got to go up quite a bit higher, obviously, and I can raise up with the Bobcat and figure out what I need to do. So we'll check back in. Alright guys, so I've been working on the elevator. I didn't have the cameras out because it's supposed to be raining, but it didn't rain, but it looks like something maybe blowing in right now. But I used the Bobcat with the MaxControl, and I was able to get it so it's back on the track. Got the cable hooked back up. Except I messed up, put it through right there, and it's not supposed to be under there, so I'm gonna have to undo it and take that back out. But I got it back on the tracks somewhat. But you look right there, the track sprung. It's not in the track by a whole lot right there. And then this track has been out up here. But what I want to do is move the track down one. So I think the way it sits, I'm going to be able to take the bolts out, pound the track down with a hammer, because it's wedged in there between the leg and the elevator itself. But that was hard. That's why I had to use a skid steer to pick it up. I had to get enough gap in there to get the track back in once I took it out, to because I had to take the track out, get the leg up where it goes, and put the track back on around the legs. I'm not sure why it's got a little bit of a twist to it, but it definitely has a little bit of a twist to it. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to fix the twist part or not, but at least now I think I can undo the cable, redo the cable, and next time and pound those tracks down, and then I'll use the skid steer to pick it up and help it get the leg back where it needs to be, so that when I just crank up all the slack on the cable, which actually works out pretty good because I got the cable under this part right here. It's not supposed to be there, but I'll be able to undo the cable and I'll pick it up, and then I'll put it back through there, and then I'll take out a bunch of slack. I'll probably be able to shorten the cable up a few feet anyway. And then I just need to make sure that the tracks doesn't get sprung to the side. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to drill holes through the track or put pieces. One other idea would be take extra flat stock and weld pieces in this track to make the track wider. I'm not sure what I want to do about that, but moving the rails down, if it stays in the track and doesn't spring sideways, will keep it from falling down farther. It'll stop because it'll hit the end of the track. But that's a good theory. So maybe tomorrow morning I'll be able to get it picked up and get the track moved, and then I'll just have to figure out what I want to do. What I want to do to make sure that it doesn't fall down again. That's pretty much it. I don't know whether drilling the rails is the idea, or ratchet strapping it just so it holds. That's another option. You just put a couple ratchet straps around it once you get it up to the height you want. But so maybe tomorrow morning I'll be able to lift it up and at least get the tracks moved back how they are, and we'll kind of go from there. Hopefully tomorrow will be the last day that I pick it up. Hopefully I'll get it picked up, and at least it will be holding itself up when I'm done. It might not have the safety feature in it to not fall again, but hopefully it will be holding itself up, and then I can figure out how to make it so it doesn't fall again. Alright, so we'll be continuing the video as we get it done. Maybe we'll show a video of actually working on it tomorrow. I don't know. It depends on what the weather is. I didn't want to mess with the cameras in the rain and everything. Just more stuff to pick up in the rain, Alright, we'll check back. Alright guys, so I actually was going to film some, but I forgot. I didn't think I had the cameras with me. And then I found the cameras in the dump truck. I had left them here yesterday. So I have the elevator put back together. So I was able to get the cable out of there and took out quite a bit of slack actually. Looks like probably 1.5 feet, 2 feet of slack on the cable, and lifted it up with the Bobcat and used the cable. So the Bobcat, just basically helped lift it up. Use the MaxControl, which worked pretty good. And then I was able to, so one of the ideas we had was to drill some holes in these rails and make some sort of way for it to be held up there. So I don't know, the hard part is how do you know what height to make it for the beef barn. So I mean, this is pretty good height for the beef barn, I think. You can always, teeter-totter it, pick the bottom up higher to get it in the door. So I drilled a hole. I used a Bobcat with MaxControl. I drilled a hole through here, got up to a 1/2 inch big hole, and I put a 3/8 inch socket extension in there. I have another one of them somewhere. And I drilled the hole on the other side, but I don't have an extension in it. So if the cable were to break, that would fall. Now, one of the ideas was to get a rod and put a rod all the way through. But the problem with that is, if this leg is a little bit out of alignment, you'd have to get that rod through, 4 holes. And I don't think you'd be able to do it. And the other thing is, once you're up there, getting it in, you think, well, if you're going to take the rod, you want to change the height, you want to raise it higher and take the rod out and crank it up higher. Well, getting it out of 4 holes might not be easy to do. Whereas this way, getting out of 2 holes might not be easy to do either. Like, for instance, right now, I could pull that rod out because there's no weight on it because the cable's holding it. So, So I think you want to use the rod as a safety, so that way if the cable breaks, then the weight's going to be on the rod. In this case, we're using a socket extension. So right now the weight's on the cable, so that's why I can pull the rod in and out. But I just think if you put one all the way through, yeah, you could maybe get like a harder piece of steel, maybe one of the pieces of steel they make concrete forms out of or whatever that go all the way through, and you can drill some holes in it, put some pins in it, and just leave it in there. But if you did want to adjust it, how would you do it? That would not be easy to do. So I think we're just going to stick with the socket extension, and I'm pretty sure I have another one. I don't use them. I've used that socket extension, I don't know, 2 or 3 times maybe. I think the last time I used one was to take the starter off of one of the tractors. I can't remember which one, to get the back bolt back behind the starter. So anyway, the elevator's up, cable's holding it, and then the other thing is that we'll add. So right now I'm not sure about the clamp. So one clamp is definitely, the smaller clamp is definitely, smaller clamp there definitely is holding it pretty tight. This one might be too big. I'm going to try to get some smaller ones, and I put it on this with a socket, and I'll probably get a couple smaller ones and see if I can get them on there. And I'll use the impact 3/8 drive impact and see if I can get them a little tighter. I might do some Google searching, see if I can see if there's any kind of better clamp, with like shark teeth or something like that into them, saw teeth, I don't know. But anyway, at least if I get another bolt or something in there, it has to be, that extension's what? I think it's a foot extension. I'm not sure if it's an actual foot or not. But it has to be long enough, because right now the leg, it probably has, I don't know, 1/2 inch of play, maybe 1 inch of play. So 1/2 inch of play on each side. So that's what happened. Got a little bit crooked or whatever, and one leg drops down, and then it could come down on you. So it has to be long enough that it goes in there that it'll hold it. I think it'll work pretty good. I'm not sure if there's anything else we could do to it or not. I mean, you could maybe make something right here. Would not be a bad idea to make something. I mean, that's a nice square piece of tubing. Make a leg that goes up from there and catches like right under here or something. That would not be too hard to do. Would it hold it up? I don't know. 2 of them definitely would, So I mean, that you could maybe do it right here. That's a possibility. Not sure what I have for scrap, but that's something I would consider doing. Or, hard part is if you want to make it so it's, it gets a little bit more mathematical if you want to make it something that is adjustable. I mean, you could have one down there and have it some sort of a pivot, and then have notches up here. So straight up it would be here, and if you want to go higher, you'd have to move it back here. That's an option, but I'm not sure if that's the best option. Another one would be to put a leg out here. But the big thing is you got to keep the leg and the track up there. That's the big thing. So we'll see what we come up with. We will call this one a video, elevator repairs. And I could not have done it. I mean, I would say I did it by myself, but I didn't do it myself. I couldn't have done it without my Bobcat. With the MaxControl, that worked great. I drove it. I used it to pick it up. I used it to, I did all the hold it, do all the cranking on it. And I used it to pick myself up so I could drill the holes. And it worked great up till the end, and I'm not sure what happened, but it lost connection, and I think the bucket was probably like 6 feet off the ground, and I could not get it to reconnect. So I ended up had to climb down, and I still couldn't get it to reconnect, so I ended up had to get my daughter Lainey to climb it. The door would only open just a little bit, and I had to get my daughter Lainey to climb in there and start it up, put the bucket down. But I don't know what happened to it. It worked great for probably 2 hours. But anyway, we're going to call it a video. Thanks for watching. Please stay tuned for more from Triple D Farms, Triple D Maple, and Triple D Cabins. I'm Jared. Have a great day.